Lucy Hovil is a senior researcher at the International Refugee Rights Initiative, and she joins us now from Bath, the United Kingdom. Lucy, thank you very much for joining us today. In your opinion, what impact would closing the borders have on refugees and migrants? Would they simply return, or would they seek other points of entry to safe locations?
I think probably, for the most part, people would seek other points of entry. I think that we've seen a lot of these migrant routes really adapt to changing circumstances. And as politics changes, the routes change quite quickly. Obviously, and I mean, it's a little bit like squeezing a balloon. If you squeeze it in one place, it reappears somewhere else. And I think that's very much what would happen. I think the problem is for a lot of people who have made this journey, this is towards the end of their journey, and it's very hard for people to turn back. Often the reason that led someone to set off for Europe in the first place hasn't changed, and so it's really hard for them to go back to whatever that circumstance is.
Now, we've seen an increase in people trying to enter Europe through Italy in the past 5 days or so. Are things getting worse in their countries, or is there another reason behind this, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's quite if you like, a seasonal thing. That when it's summertime in Europe, and there are different factors that make the journey more viable. I think also there's a degree of maybe, this is speculation, but maybe some kind of feeling from the Libyan side that maybe this might happen, and therefore they're trying to get people over as quickly as possible. That's pure speculation, as I say. But I think that, you know, all of these processes are constantly interacting with political realities. So when statements are made, or when there seems to be a bit of a threat, people immediately adapt to that situation.
Now, Lucy, Italy obviously has a limit to people it can take in, like any other country. But do you think it's justifiable to consider closing ports at this time?
No, it can never be a good idea to do that. I think there are a number of factors here. One is that many of those people who are making this journey are people with a legitimate claim to asylum. And therefore, their right to be able to seek a safe place is absolutely fundamental. I think closing borders never really works. It seems like a very short-term and maybe politically expedient move, but it never works in the long term. And I think, you know, we have to keep this in perspective. Yes, Italy is receiving a lot of people at the moment. But we still have to remember that over 85%, I think, of the world's refugees are in the global south, are in places that are way poorer than Italy is. And I think, you know, the sort of way in which the refugee protection structures are created is one of burden sharing. And I think that this is a very problematic narrative, that somehow Italy is carrying this great burden, when if you compare it to a country such as Uganda, which has received almost 1 million refugees over the past few months, or now hosts over 1 million refugees, it's nothing compared to the numbers. You know, Italy's situation is nothing compared to those numbers. So I think we have to be very careful to keep this in perspective the whole time.
All right, Lucy Hovil at the International Refugee Rights Initiative, thank you very much for that.